Are you tired of feeling run down and exhausted? In our fast-paced world, we're often surrounded by toxins that impact our well-being. I provide holistic solutions designed to detoxify your body and environment. With cutting-edge AO voice scan technology, we identify the root causes of your discomfort or dis-ease, making personalized healing easier than ever. Start your transformative journey towards a healthier, toxin-free life. Because at White Sands Self-Care, your well-being is our priority.
Do you suffer from anxiety? Ask your doctor about... Actually, don't. Try Vibe instead, the non-drug way to calm your nervous system. No crazy side effects, no floating, no feathers. Just gentle calm, without the side effects, like morphing into a dolphin. Vibe is energy therapy for your body, helping your nervous system reset naturally. Millions of therapy sessions delivered. Vibe. Calm without crazy. Side effects may include deeper sleep, calmer days, and feeling like yourself again.
Feeling stressed, stuck, or out of balance? You're not alone. I'm Sheila Tillich, galactic grandmother and master energy healer. I help you clear emotional stress, release old trauma patterns, and reconnect you with clarity and purpose. Every session is unique, guided by your energy and your highest good. If you're ready for peace, more freedom, and more you, visit SheilaTillich.com and book your clarity call today.
Well, welcome everybody back to another Mindful Monday. Are you ready to start a transformative journey of self-discovery and empowerment? Well, we have Reverend Sheila Tillich with us today. She's an ordained metaphysical reverend and master energy healer devoted to remembrance. So she's guiding seekers into crystalline coherence and embodied higher consciousness. Since 1985, she has supported thousands in navigating profound energetic change with clarity, grace, and grounded light. Her work blends quantum DNA activation, unity field healing, integrated energy therapy, and Star Mother transmissions to awaken the body's wisdom and stabilize the soul's frequency. She has facilitated sessions worldwide and trained thousands of students in advanced energy modalities. And now she's joining us today to help you navigate energetic change with grace. So, Sheila, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure. That's a lot to kind of unpack there as it is. And I know we have time, but maybe can you start with how your journey in metaphysical healing began? I know it was over 3 decades ago, or is there a pivotal moment or?
Oh, there's many pivotal moments, but from the very beginning, I've been able to communicate with angels. So I'm hard of hearing, and my spiritual knowing, talk to them, seeing them, communicating with them. However, I never really stepped into my awareness and used them until 1985. And that's when I actually put myself in recovery for my childhood issues from codependency, and then also starting with different situations that were going on in my home life. And then 8 years later, I got into recovery for codependency, for alcoholism. So codependency to alcoholism. And even though I didn't drink every day, I still had the isms from my childhood. So, and it was all part of my own self-healing and holistic healing for myself, where I started on this journey. And my divineness with the angels, or my communication with the angels, kind of expanded everything and who I really am and what I'm here to do. So it's been a long journey, but it's been a short journey.
Long but short, I like that. So maybe, can you clarify a little bit what you mean by your isms?
Isms is the reasons why you do the diction part of what you do to live. How do you live your life? In other words, your personality, your choices, your behaviors, and especially the situations that you grew up in, and why you made the choices that you did. So the isms are, your control, your anger, your resentments, all the things get stuck inside you. And a lot of people don't really understand what that means, but everything is energy, and everything you've experienced in human form is energy. And a lot of people say, well, came from a dysfunctional home, or I had a very healthy home. I had a very healthy childhood. Well, that might be so, but the thing is, you learn different behaviors, and those behaviors are the isms. All right, how you deal with relationships, how you don't deal with relationships, how you interact in mainstream as far as your work, your profession, when you become an adult, from the choices of friends that you pick when you're a teenager, and if you go to college or whatever. So isms are things that keep you stuck. All right, things that your stressors in your life, your physical problems in your life, of course emotional and mental, but where did they come from?
Right.
Where did they come from? So those are the isms. And of course, society thinks that if you have an addiction that it's a bad thing. Well, it's really not. It is just the way that you dealt with society and help you, live life. So a lot of people have different addictions, whether it's food or whether it's gambling or whether it's, charge cards or whether it's people. You have to be, or fashion, they got to be fashionable, so there's many parts to the puzzle, and it's all individualized.
Yeah.
And when I work on people, it's about, or I help people or work with them, it's individualized for them. Where are they stuck? Where are they wounded? Or where do they need help with? Or how do I change my life? And I help them look at the different pieces.
Okay, so we were starting to have a little bit of difficulty with the mic and hearing you, but you were talking about the isms and where people are stuck.
Yeah. A lot of people are stuck and they don't know where they're stuck. They just know that they're unhappy or they need help. And most of the people that come to me are people that are more sensitive or more aware of the energy around them and their life, and realizing, they have anxiety or depression or just not happy. And that's where are they stuck? And that's where we, take the layers away and kind of look at everything. But most of it starts in the childhood, and then it works its way out, for the things that you do, the things that you don't do, and how it affects your life. So the isms is a lot of things. People they live their life and deal with stressors in a different way. And addiction is just one of them. As I said, it could be people, places, or things, and it's all about being happy. And many people are going through rough time right now because the world is changing. The world is changing, and so are we. And we can look at it, as the glass half full or half empty. So I try to look at it with joy and happiness. And it took me a while to get here. And I am very happy for my life now that I've gone through that and that I can help others go through it
Yeah,
to
and
have
I
more.
like how you pointed that out is because when people hear addictions, they think alcohol, smoking, drugs, all the bad stuff, but really there's a lot of them. Like you said, there's food. There's people that I know that like shop like no tomorrow and then always regret their purchases, and it may be like brand new, but it's just like how they're filling a space. It makes them like temporarily happy, but then they have this regret, and it's just shopping. And I think there's a lot of people that just don't even realize that they could even be looked at as an addiction.
Oh yeah, it's anything to fill the empty hole inside. So what is the empty hole? And
Right.
that's where the energy and the childhood comes into play, not feeling loved, not feeling good enough. And a lot of those emotions that you go through or experiences that you go through never get resolved. And so, many of us come from divorced families or one parent family. Some do, and they have to live totally different than ones that have two parents. So there's different variations as far as our childhood and who you relate to people. When you're in your childhood, you relate to the people that are like you, and then you become older and you start to explore other things, And if you haven't learned to do certain things in a healthy way, then you pick up unhealthy behaviors that lead you on another path. But it's about, really, my practice is about energy psychology. In other words, what happened to the first 7 years of your life and how does it impact your life? Are you happy? Are you joyful? And it has to do with traditions, families, of course, friends. Do you feel lonely? Do you have a nice social life? There's many, many factors. There's many
Yeah.
factors. Yeah.
And I like that you mentioned that energy because everything in is energy frequency in here. But not everybody that I know of. I know there's some that come. I mean, my earliest memory is like maybe when I was 5. So when you work with people, for people that like can't remember, how do you find that energetic, or how do you help them to like even tap into or figure out maybe what it was? I mean, you knew from an early age, or you already knew from the time you were born, but not everybody has that. I call it a gift. Not everybody has that gift. So how do you help others to figure that out?
Well, in my introduction, you did say that I'm a galactic grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
and which that means is I can communicate with a higher dimension, and my communication is angelic or celestial. If you think of celestial, it's a higher communication, and that's what the angels are. And so I can see things and hear things that other people can't. So when I'm around someone, when they come and ask for my help, I already know what their situation is. And then when I have them in front of me, their energy will tell me everything that I need to know and to know how to help them. So whether it's dysfunctional childhood or an unhappy marriage or addictions in the family, which I have it in my own family. And I came from active alcoholic lifestyles, my parents. And with my own addiction, I didn't drink every day like they did. And it really doesn't have to do with how much you drink. It's the reasons why. So then we go back to the empty hole inside. And so when I have a client that comes to me, because I am a galactic communicator, I have help from the other side, I can see things about them. And that is a gift, absolutely. And I truly believe that I was born hard of hearing, and yeah, I was born hard of hearing. And it was my gift of how to accentuate the other things that I could do. And I do know that this is my purpose for being here. And there's many, many situations that led to that, but the communication with the angels, seeing beyond the 3D world or what's right in front of you, the
Mm-hmm.
sense, the intuition, we used to call them ESPs, but yeah, but now we know it's the clairs,
Yeah.
sentience, clairaudience and stuff like that. Well, there's more to it because we're more than just this meat suit, as we say, our bodies.
I know, I like that meat suit, and it's more than
And
Claire's because now you got remote viewers, and now you have all of these other terms and stuff. And but
exactly.
if you're not familiar with any part of that world, all of that would still be foreign to you.
So what I just say is, how do you feel when you walk into a room and you see somebody and you don't like them? You don't know why you don't like them. Well, that's your energy. Your
Hmm.
energy is there's something, and every body resonates with an energy, and it could be a lower energy. They're very unhappy, very angry. Control. It's got to be my way. And you walk on eggshells if they're in that control situation. Because you don't know how to act with them. And so there's many ways of looking at it. When people come and you have friends, also the friends that you had from your childhood might not be the friends that you have in your adulthood. And you learn to evolve as far as the things that you like or don't like. And so as I started growing up, I got married very early, and I got married during the 70s. I was born in the 50s and 70s, started having my kids, and I knew I wasn't happy. And so when I said I came in as a child, hard of hearing, I do know now that that was part of my gifts that I use now all the time. And this energy that we have now, there's so many of us that don't know how to live in this energy. They don't understand what is happening. And so as what you read, I do a lot of different things. It's all about your thinking and how what you think of. And if you think of negative things, then the negative stuff is going to come towards you. If you think of positive things, then positive things come towards you. The same as feeling the difference if somebody walks in the room and you can feel that they're very mad and you've never encountered them yet, you
Right.
know? And so there's many ways of explaining it, but this time with the energy that's here, many people are waking up or feeling things that they never did before. And that's the change that's happening. It is in the frequency of the magnetic field around Earth, but mostly inside you because you are an electromagnetic machine. That's how your heart beats, for humans. And so if you go into biology, you can kind of understand it, with your breath and you got to have food and stuff like that. But there's so much more to it.
Oh, a
And,
lot more. Yeah.
oh, so
And,
much.
and
So
I think it's important to mention because as you said earlier, that when you're working with people, you can already see things about them and know things about it. But to be clear, because I know you and I have had this conversation, you're not there to tell them what you see. You're there to help them come to their own realization with it.
exactly. My role is to know how to help them. And I have a whole spiritual toolkit of tools. It's just not one thing or the other. It's not one done deal. It's like it's combination, just like the layers of what's inside of you. You could have physical problems, and not understand that it comes from the stressors and the energy in your life, what's happening.
Hmm.
And so it's a different way of looking at yourself. What is going on with your body and how can you change it? And that's exactly what happened with me back
Right.
in the 80s is that I started changing and also went back to school for nursing. I always wanted to be a nurse midwife. And so, but I had to take action. I had to do something. So that's where I didn't know what to do, but the angels led me to know what to do. I'm not happy. This isn't right. And then that's how I help people individually, if they're angry or wounded in some way. And when we say, I'm not wounded, I'm fine, it's like, okay, you can say that, but,
That already right there says something's wrong. Yeah.
okay, okay, I
Yeah.
believe you. You don't tell them what's wrong with them. It's like, at all. It's like, how can I help you? And I listen because their energy will tell all of it. You could come to a counseling situation where it's my marriage is bad, it's always his fault and all this other stuff. You think, okay, let's back this up, and it's an inside job individually. So what can I do to help you? And that's where we take a look at all the different tools that I have. What do they need? Do they need to get more centered in the body? Do they need more rest? Are they getting the right food? How are they feeling in their workforce? Are they happy in their workforce? So there's many factors that go into it. And as a healer, uh, and years ago they used to say you can't say you're a healer. It's like, well, I healed myself, and I can give you verified evidence how I did that, but I had to take action, and it was hard. And nothing changes if nothing changes. And that's a lot about with the addictions that people go through, it's how they handle stress, whether they're trying to fill that empty hole inside or whether they're just being angry at everybody else, or having rage on the roads. Where's that all coming from? There's it's coming from somewhere.
Yeah. And I've learned to protect my energy. It's kind of like we all get those 10 million spam calls and stuff. And my fiance's like, oh, I just answered, do this and that. I'm like, oh no, that is just like way too much negative energy. I just block the call, don't answer. I'm like,
Exactly.
I don't have time for all of that. I'm like, and he thinks it's fun. I'm like, yeah, no, that's just too much negative energy for me. But like you said, everything is energy, and you have to kind of learn to, navigate it, block it. And I think that was a great example because there's a lot of times where you go someplace and maybe you didn't really want to go, but then all of a sudden, oh, you're so glad you went because, it just uplifted you because it just happened to be really great positive energy. And there's other times where it's just like you can't wait to leave. And it's like, people can put whatever labels they want on it, but it's energy. It's your instincts basically saying whether you should or should not be there or want to be there.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. But so, in your experience, how is your understanding of energy healing? How has it evolved? How has it evolved since you started?
Oh, oh my goodness. It's so much more open now than it was before. Um, uh, my family has a lot of spiritual siblings and was doing some of this work, and there was actually 8 of us in my family and I was number 6, and so half of them were very, very spiritual and very, loving, but also kind of kooky back then, where they would talk, to the stars, and they would go in sweat lodges and stuff like that, and I also had a time, in religion. We were brought up Catholic, but when I started raising my children and stuff like that, I was very religious, and I worked as a church secretary. And so when my siblings would come and talk to me about the stuff they would do, I just say, get away from me, you're evil. Because it's like,
Right.
back then, of course, I always had the relationship with the angels. And I always read the angel books instead of reading about all this metaphysical stuff, but I wouldn't tell anybody because, I was hiding. I was hiding behind the secrets, I wasn't ready to come out. But when they first started coming out, everything's changed, just like chiropractic. All right.
Hmm.
Chiropractic and acupuncture, that wasn't accepted in America in Western medicine, and it
No.
is now. And it's wonderful because so many things have changed, especially our children, why they've changed. And we, as older ones, and I call us the wise ones with the wisdom, because we've had to live it, and then we had to make all those mistakes, and try to change things. And of course, as a parent, you want to help your children not go through what you went through. However, they have to learn for themselves, and so we are the catalyst as far as, no, we're more the role model to help them see things they need to change. But of course, they're going to have their own, you know way of doing things, just like we did too. So, but it's evolved now is that they come in smarter. They come in smarter, and that is where we are right now.
Yeah. It keeps it, and
I
like you
know.
said, everything is getting to be a little bit more accepted. Of course, you're still going to have all your naysayers or people, but at least you're not being burnt at the stake, right?
And as soon as we started talking about that, my nose started running. It's like, what's going on here?
What is
It's
that
called
trying to
being
tell
human.
you?
I
Yeah.
don't know. It's something. It definitely is changing. It's like everything is changing, and it's for the good. It's like what is coming out seems like the bad, but it really is getting better. Is because we are becoming more heart aware. I call it heart coherence and heart centered, with the positive things about what makes us happy, makes us joyful. And my own practice and what I do is quantum energy healing, which is a little bit different than, mainstream, hands-on, or Reiki and some of the other stuff. It's more of the energy frequency that's around the body. And my mind is always going. My mind is always going, and very skeptical because I came
Mhm.
from mainstream Western medicine,
Right.
and learned that. So, however, I was living a different way. So you're 2 people in one. So you want to become one person, and you want to become happy. So that's where my journey is that I started to have to heal myself and realizing that codependency is a way of taking the focus off yourself, taking care of other people. And then when you do that, then you start breaking down, and it's hard to see the whole picture until you have a crisis or something brings to your attention that you are codependent, but it's the environment that you live in and how you're living, the things that you're seeing, and how are they affecting you. And when I decided to get into recovery for drinking, and I didn't drink every day like my parents did, and but I was in Al-Anon, which talks about the adult childhood alcoholic, what you went through to feel loved and what you couldn't control, and you didn't cause it. But when you're being brought up in that type of environment, you feel that it's your fault that they act this way or whatever the situation
Right.
is. Not only alcohol, could be a mental problem that the parents have, or the father out of work, and all this different things. So you take a look at what do I need to do to change myself, and as I started changing, then I seen, well, even though I don't drink that much, I always know it's emotional drinking. Why did I drink? I was emotional, whether it was holiday time or whatever. And so I knew that it was a generational. It can be generational. It's not always, but it can be. And it has to do with the environment and the way you deal with life on life's terms or not, and then what happens from it. Just like, you can live in a very loving home, and nothing seems to be a problem. And then later on, 20, 30 years from there, all of a sudden everything falls apart and say, well, what's going on here? And it just has to do with the choices that you make and, what you want to do to get better or not. And
Right.
it's my children were the catalyst to why I got into recovery, because I didn't want them to suffer like I did. And so it led to physical problems and my own physical changing and holistic work. And then, the angels were there talking the whole time and I couldn't hide anymore. It
Yeah.
was coming out. I was always the angel lady, but, I really had to,
But you
I
kind of
had to
finally
reach.
embraced it, right?
Oh, I embrace it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it was about 6 years ago when I finally the angels told me that it was really the galactic star mothers who were the angels and who was with me. And that's where my channeling really got better. And I had been channeling my whole life. I didn't even know it. I always thought it was the angels or, just being talking softly or whatever. But we could do 2 or 3 shows about, from year to year to year, what started changing. And many people are waking up this time. They're realizing they're not happy and they
Yeah.
don't know why. And it's like, well, let's take a look. Let's take a look at what's going on. How was your childhood? And it's, oh, I don't want to talk about my childhood. I let go of that a long time ago. And then they'll go on about something else. It's like, okay, all right. But you can see, and then, with the direction of the help of the galactic beings that are around me, the celestial beings, they will, give me thoughts of what to say and bring forward what needs to be talked about. And it's all about heart communication. It's the heart center stuff. It's all
And
about
then
love.
and you do heart math also, right?
Yes, I do heart math. I'm heart math certified. And heart math is about stress and trauma, building resilience, and it's about the connection with breath work and the emotions of the heart of love and higher frequency appreciation or joy and the things that you think. And so sometimes it's hard for people who've had a very hard childhood to think of happy things from the childhood or be happy in their life at all. So then you have to go back, I'm thankful I have eyes to see. I'm thankful I have legs to walk. You have to break it down for individual people because we've lived in this energy for so long that, sometimes it's hard to see what makes you happy. And so you have to break it down. And that's where I talk about the layers. You have many, many layers of energy that gets trapped within your body. And what is it? What is there? What caused the loneliness? What caused the heartache? What caused you to do things you didn't want to do? You knew you were hurting people, you didn't want to do it, but you did it anyway. And
Right.
there you go with the self-esteem again, beating yourself up. So there's many layers of why people do things they do. And then there's also people are awakening the things that are happening in the last 10 years, last 15 years. And they start to see themselves changing and feeling things differently. That's the energy field. And that's what I teach is the energy field. What
How
is
do you
the
help people navigate that? Because that's, you know, that can be quite a difference. And for some people, it's kind of scary, or they just don't know what to make of it.
That's right. That's what it's individualized, you know. Where can I help you? Let's talk about that. A lot of times people haven't been heard. They haven't been listened to, or they haven't trusted anybody to say what's really going on is because of what will happen if anybody finds out, the shame. So that's part of the issues in the tissues is what I call it. And that's one of the modalities that I work with. It's called integrated energy therapy, and it's done with angels. And that's where the angels come back in. And it's also higher quantum energy, which means it is about, how our bodies work. Where does the energy come from? What is supplied in our body? How is it assimilated in our body? So then you have the different layers of the body. And so it depends on what the person is having problem with. If they're having a problem with stress and anger, of course, we go into heart math. If it has to do with relationship problems, well, let's take a look at that, you know. So integrated energy therapy is about the issues in the tissues of negativity that gets stuck. And if it never gets resolved, it has no place to go but inward. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what issues in the tissues are. It's like, you're right, Well, people say, "You're such a nice person, but," and then they have the "but." It's like, "What do you mean the but?" And then you get defensive about that. You think you can cover up something, it's like, but it comes out blaring in other ways. It's like,
Yeah,
those
and
are
like
the
you said, and when people say, "Oh yeah, no, I'm done with that, or I resolved that," but did you? I mean, because there's a difference of thinking you've let it go, but did you really let it go? Because like you said, it's issues in the tissues, and a lot of people when like when I do the AO scan form, they don't realize how much their emotions and all this and stuck traumas play and are affecting how they're feeling in their body, and it can be stuff from when you were younger that you never let go.
those are the isms.
Yeah,
That's
the
the isms.
isms.
So it's isms, or it wasn't the wasms, it's the isms, it's still there. The
Right.
issue. And then how can you find more joy from your issues and make them virtues instead of issues? Make them the positive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the energy that's around here now is changing, and people are waking up. So many of us in the healing arts, are waking up ourselves, and we know, as I always say, for me to keep it, I need to give it away. And I give it away. That's compassion. And people know that when you're being honest and real, when you're being
Yeah.
authentic. And many people don't know what being authentic is because we weren't taught it. What does it mean to be authentic? Well, what I say to my kids is I love myself, warts and all. And they say, "Mom, I didn't know you had warts." I said, "Well, no, 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 I can make mistakes too. I make mistakes all the time, but I realize them. Before you make mistakes and you or did something that you regret it later or feel really bad about. And so as you start to wake up and change, you start to realize your own behaviors with people or the things that you say is hurtful. And then you want to change it. And sometimes, well, I don't trust you, you said that before. And so that's where you have to change. You have
Yeah.
to really make yourself a priority and want to change. And that's from the heart. You can tell when it's real, right?
You can, and you can tell when people are fake, and the more you come across it, the more you can pick up on it sooner rather
Exactly.
than later. Hopefully sooner.
Exactly. And that's the energy. That's the
Yeah.
energy field. That's awakening up. That's changing. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we mentioned that you also guide seekers into crystalline coherence and higher consciousness. So, what does that mean for someone that's just starting on that spiritual journey?
Okay, so because this energy is changing, our physical bodies are changing too. And people, they're having all these things that are happening in their life, whether it's, irritable bowel or depression or anxiety or sleep problems or problems concentrating. There's so many things that are happening, and they don't realize that it all has to do with what's going on in the physical body and how is it responding on the outside. And because this energy is changing, the magnetic field and the earth has changed, and there's scientific evidence that it's changed. And that's where the energy of the earth is affecting our physical bodies. So in the last, a good 5 to 10 years, more people are becoming more interested in astrology and about, the energy that's coming out, with all the floods and all the stuff that's happening. Well, it is a change in the way the earth is connected to, the magnetic field. And what that means is the solar flares. We hear about the solar flares and stuff that's coming in. Well, that's a radiation, right? But it is about a higher frequency of consciousness. So when we talked about the energy is what you think, all right? So what you think is what you bring towards you, all right? So that's like the law of attraction,
Right.
years ago. But there's more to it than that. It's about us being dimensional, emotional grid around us and how it affects us physically and then around us. And the earth is changing so much that as people start to change and want to, take action and do different, it is coming from the frequency of the heart. So we're talking about electromagnetic beings that we are, our heartbeats, and it resonates out. That's why you can feel somebody when you're, not comfortable with them in the room, or you can tell whether, they're full of it or not. you know,
Right.
and so because you can sense that now and you couldn't before. Well, what is happening is that as our body takes in the oxygen that we take in, it is in the air, all right, and it comes also from the sun, the different elements that we live in as humans, and that's why the earth is so important, or we call her Mother Gaia, and where the indigenous people have always talked about the wisdom of Mother Gaia, but also the elements. And then when the elements, we talk about, how she feeds us, the food that we eat, how it's grown, the connection with the water that we drink, how it affects our body, the heat that comes into our bodies to keep us homeostasis, keep us balanced, keep us warm. It also helps our body move things through our body to be able to feed our whole body. And of course, the air. So those elements are very, very important. And as solar flares or the magnetic field is changing, and it has been changing for quite a while. And it actually is called the precession of the equinox, which is a shift of consciousness. So think of consciousness as energy. What you think is what you project out and what's coming towards you. So since 1994, astrologically, all right, many things have happened on the earth for the magnetic field that's coming in, the vibration onto the field, the frequency, the hertz in the earth, and then also what's coming down from the sun and the air that we bring in. And as it's been getting stronger and stronger, it is changing the chemical byproduct or structure of our cells of our body. And when we start having, more headaches, like yesterday was a terrible day for me. The day before was great, and the 3 days before, and it was also the spring equinox. And then yesterday was I woke up with a bad headache, and I had stomach issues, and I had a lot of stuff, and it was like a purging of the old stuff from me, releasing and cleansing and stuff like that we do. But also it was a reaction to my physical body from the changes with the spring equinox and the actual radiation or the energy that the sun was giving out. So when we talk about the solar flares, we're talking about a plasma. It is heat, but it's also a type of radiation. And this flares, when they come out, affects the electromagnetic field around the Earth. Right? And so NASA can show you that. And it is about the torrid electrical field around you that keeps your heart beating. Well, that's us. And when we resonate a certain thing, it comes out. We feel it, and that's where, as these flares are happening more and more, and as in the earth, the Schumann's resonance is how they measure things with machines, how they know when there's a volcano coming or an earthquake coming or how the weather's going to be. So it's all scientifically, with the machines that they have, things have changed. And that's why I say from 94 to all the way to 2030, it's called the precession of the equinox. So the equinox is what we just had. We just had the spring equinox come, where the polarization happened. The north hemisphere and the south hemisphere, and then the different changing of the seasons. And so the Earth is a planet, and it's
Right.
affected by everything that's around. So as these flares come in, our bodies are changing from a different dimension of knowing, seeing, feeling, and doing. So my own abilities have gotten stronger and stronger and stronger as the years have gone by. And it wasn't until 6 years ago when the Star Mother said, "You're going to openly channel us because we've been channeling through you." And they were for years. I could talk to the angels. I could talk to my, you know, Saint Germain, Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And, I thought I was crazy. It's like, no, no. So they identified themselves as the Galactic Star Mothers, and my role was to help rebirth humanity of awakening, of ascending to a higher knowing, a higher frequency, and that is the clairs. That is your intuition. You know, that is your knowing when things are going to happen. A lot of people call it psychic abilities or mediumship abilities. Well, it's a lot more than that. It is our physical bodies, and it has to do with our DNA in our body. What
Wow.
is happening in the body? So when the crystalline structure of the body, what that means is crystals are energy. Our body is energy. It's filled with minerals from the earth, right? And it responds to energy. And as the solar flares come in, it starts to have a different change in our physical bodies. So when we have the eclipse and stuff like that's happened now, we have, it's called ascension symptoms. Our bodies will respond in a certain way because it's trying to elevate to a higher frequency of knowing, of expanding, of our energy fields around us. And it's about a higher frequency and a lower frequency. And many people call it, good and bad, God and the devil. It's just all different ways of responding
And
to
everybody
it.
feels like they have to explain everything. But I remember it was earlier or late last year anyway that we actually got part of the aurora borealis down here in Missouri, which you normally do not see. But ours was like all pink. It was like someone painted pink. I saw them when I was out in Iceland, but to be in Southwest Missouri and to see those like come down that far, it was a beautiful sight.
That's the electromagnetic field is changing. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
I,
Yeah.
and I mean, there's
And
all kinds of states across the U.S. that was seeing them that normally don't ever see northern lights.
and the southern too. The southern down in Australia, they from the south. So it's the magnetic field around the earth. And so as that is getting stronger and stronger, our bodies are changing to a higher knowing. And the inventions that are coming out, the things that have always been here that was never allowed to come out. The things that are becoming out into the open is coming out. things that we always wanted to hide, but it's coming out. So that's the higher frequency of knowing. And that's why when we talk about people awakening or enlightenment, it's like of seeing and knowing things that they didn't before. It's changing. You're evolving. And so your physical body, your cellular structure is changing to higher consciousness. And higher consciousness is the shift of ascension, of whether you want to call it higher spiritual knowing, you can, but it's wisdom. And it's the connection with our other lives that we've had. Our physical bodies break down, but we have a soul. That soul lives and it goes into another body. And some people don't believe in reincarnation, but the children that are coming back now, they're telling us for sure. They're remembering, you know, and then they spike a remembrance in us. And so many things have changed. In the last 70, almost 72 years that I've been around, things have changed. Believe me.
Oh yeah, and they're going to keep changing. But so for the people that we have watching that are like maybe they don't know what to call it, they don't know what to make of it, but they're feeling things change. What kind of tips would you give them of how to navigate that or to deal with it?
Well, thank you. That's a wonderful question. I was hoping you're going to ask me that. It's about grounding yourself. All right. So you are a human body living in a human earth. And the best thing to do is go outside and ground yourself. But breathe and just get quiet. And I call it being in the present moment. Just get quiet and allow other things to come into your mind because we're always so busy. We got to have the music on in the background. We've got to do this. We got to keep busy. Well, slow down and smell the roses, as they say. But also, really, it is. It's like it's take the power back. You have the power inside, and many of us have never thought it that way. We've never allowed to be seen or heard or feel worthy. So the power is get quiet every day, and at first thing in the morning, when you wake up, before you put your feet on the ground, just think that you woke up and then put your feet on the ground and just for 30 seconds say thank you. This is going to be a great day. I'm excited about this day instead of, oh, I can't stand this day. I got all this stuff going on. So right there, you have a choice is think the
Mhm.
positive things or negative things. Go outside. I go outside every morning. Every morning, the coffee goes on, and I go outside. And yes, I go out in the snow. And yes, when it's really snowy, I do have boots on. But
Right.
but, but I do try to, connect with Mother Gaia, plant trees or whatever, because they're living just like we are, and they provide the oxygen. So it's making that connection to go inside, be quiet, even 5 minutes, just take the time for yourself. If you're at work, go in the bathroom, just close your eyes and breathe and bring the energy through because your body needs the oxygen and the new energy that's here will help you self regulate really good. And that's what heart math is about bringing the focus with your breathing into your heart, things that you love, and focus, think of the things that you love, the things that you love to do. And just for 5 minutes and just build it every day, and you can start changing your life. You can.
Yeah, that's one of the things I do is when I get, frustrated or it's too much, or it's like, oh my God, I've been in front of this computer way too long. I will go step outside and just enjoy the air. Or, I picked up my hobbies that I stopped doing a long time ago that I love to do because I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
why did I stop doing this? I still have all the stuff. I haven't done it in years, but, time to start again. So
exactly.
it's just peaceful. It's just my own, yeah,
Live in the peace. Be the peace. And they
yeah.
always say, be the change that you want. Be
Well,
the
you're the only
change.
one
And
that can change it. People can't, there's no one else that can change it for you. And I like how you said that. It is a choice. You make that choice. People say, well, it's like whether you do or you don't, you decide it was a choice. You either decided not to or you chose to do it. So it's still a
right, right.
choice.
Yeah, a lot of people like to play the victim role though. And so it's like, okay. And as Dr. Phil says, how's that working for you? Is that working for you? Oh, so you've gotta have laughter. You've gotta
Hmm.
have joy. Is because the more you laugh, the less you are inside yourself and just all that raw stuff is going inside, the stress and the tension. So I laugh at myself all the time, especially when I'm hard of hearing and there's some words that I can't say, or they're talking to me and I'm just talking so fast and it's like I can't get the words out fast enough. And they just say, slow down. And the same with me, I have to slow down. And yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
smell the roses.
And in today's fast-paced world, I think that's one thing that a lot of people struggle with is just
Exactly.
slowing down. I don't know if it's fear of missing something or afraid they're going to get behind or what, but so many people have trouble to just, turn it off, and they don't turn it off until tragedy or something strikes and it makes them stop.
Yeah.
So,
Well, when I do hospice work, because I've done hospice work since the 90s, but my whole life, my family members, I've had death, my whole family, but that is what I'm so joyful for, is to be able to go into the energy of that type of situation at the end of your life, and really bring in the love, no fear, no fear. And, it's what's really important in life. And that's what I try to live by. I've had too much unhappiness for many, many years and lived with trauma and, bad choices. And it's like I worked too hard to get to where I'm at now. And I'm just so grateful for my life. And I'm honored to be with others that go through the same type
yeah.
of life. Yeah.
Well, we got about 4 minutes left, Sheila. I know you and I could go on forever because there's so many topics we could dig into.
Yeah.
And I know you have your YouTube channel, but what would you like to make sure that people leave today with?
They have the power. They have the power and they are so, so dearly loved. And they're not alone ever. It's just that you have to choose to ask for help. You have to do action. And that's where, when you go in the present moment, ask for things that you need to know and then be quiet and listen. That's when your help will come. You will start to hear things. It's all about your intention, and you have the power, and you are not alone, and you're so very, very loved.
Yeah, I like that. So there's your YouTube channel right there. So I know they can connect with you on YouTube, and you have different. What does your YouTube channel have? Is it interviews or or you giving them more information?
Oh yeah, well, I have all different things on it. I have transmissions from the Star Mothers, and when the Star Mothers do a channel through me, all right. So it's basically their energy is coming through me, and it's going out through my heart and through the energy that's coming out. And so I do have transmissions and activations. And a lot of people say, "What's the difference?" Well, meditation is you meditate, but transmission is I'm transmitting the energy, and activation is that the flow of energy is going through you when you listen to it. That's the frequency. And then I have a lot of interviews, like you and everybody else. We have interviews with people like-minded, but also so people know that they're not alone. And we all have stories. I mean, that's how I share. I have tons of stories. I've been through it, and nobody can take my wisdom away. And you have wisdom, and I want to hear your wisdom. So, the YouTube channel has that. So, the easiest thing, if you want to get to know me more, is go to my website and schedule a clarity call, and let's just talk. And where I can help you. I mentor a lot. I teach classes in person, and I have different classes online too. Yeah, different
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, and there's a lot on there, and I love that because I think you and I are both the same about that. We just want to make sure that people know that they're heard and that there's someone there that's going to support them without judgment, because it's not about judging. It's just about supporting you and getting you to the better state and the healthier life that you want to have.
Exactly.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, but so much knowledge. I know there's so many more things we could dig into. We'll probably have to have you back. We'll have to go into we'll have to go into some of those some more.
I'd
But
like that.
yeah, Sheila, I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of that with us. Because I know a lot of people are, like you said, a lot of people are feeling, they don't know why they're feeling things, but things are off or they're different. And it is that energy change, and there's many that are struggling to navigate
Yeah.
it. So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. There's more. There's always more to the story. More to learn. We
absolutely.
are evolving.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I will tell you, because I did do a session with Sheila as well, for one of her sessions where she called into the angels, and it's a very pleasant experience. It was nice, and you can just feel calm and relaxed. But she does truly listen, and it's a beautiful experience. So I would encourage any of you that are feeling stuck or want to know more to reach out and connect with Sheila, because she's very good at what she does, and she has the heart. So please connect with her. But I want to
Thank you.
thank you for joining us. Everyone, thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday and week, and we will see you all next time.